Let me ask you something honestly. How many of you promised yourself in 2025, next year I will change? And how many of you are still carrying the same habits, the same fear, and the same excuses? You see, the calendar changed, but you did not. And that is not because you are weak, it is because no one taught you how to rebuild, only how to survive. Many people don't fail because they are lack talent, intelligent, or opportunities, but they fail because they keep waiting, waiting for the right mood, waiting for the confidence, waiting for approval, waiting for the perfect moment when everything magically aligns. And the truth is that moment never arrives. Life does not send a notifications saying now you are ready. It simply keeps moving while we stand still, convincing ourselves that tomorrow will be better. We often believe that once things settle down, once responsibility reduce, once fear disappear, then we will begin. But life does not become lighter because you are grow stronger. You grow stronger by moving despite the way. The perfect time is a confusing illusions we use to protect ourselves from discomfort. It feels safer to delay than to try and fail. But every delay has a hidden cost. It slowly teaches your mind that your dreams are optional. When you wait too long, something dramatically dangerous happens. You start normalizing dissatisfactions. You wake up every day feeling slightly unhappy, slightly tired, slightly disconnected. And you tell yourself this is normal. But deep inside, you know it is not. You know you were meant for more peace, more clarity, more purpose. Yet instead of listening to that inner voice, your silence is with business, distractions, and excuses. The mind loves comfort zones, even if they are painful. At least they are familiar. Stepping into change feels uncertain, and uncertainty scares us more than unhappiness. So we keep waiting for courage, not realizing that courage is no something you find, it is something you build by taking actions. Confidence does not comes before actions. It comes because of actions. Think about how many times you told yourself, I will start from Monday or after this month's or next year's will be different. Year pass calendars. Calendars change, but habit remains the same. And slowly regret plays for. But regret for what you did wrong, but regret for what you never ever tried. Waiting also creates comparisons. When you stay stuck, you start waiting others move ahead. Their growth becomes a reminder of your delay. And instead of feeling inspired, you feel discouraged. You forget that they were once uncertain too. They did not wait for fear to disappear. They moved with fear in their hands. The uncomfortable truth is this: clarity comes after actions, not before it. You does not sudden wake up knowing exactly what to do with your life. You discover it by doing something imperfectly. You adjust as you go. You learn while walking. Standing still never teaches you anything. Every time you take a small step, your brain rewires itself. It learns that change is survival. Effort does not kill you, that progress is possible. But when you keep postponing, your brain learns the opposite, that avoidance is safety. And when avoidance becomes a habit, every small action feels overwhelming. Rebuilding yourself in 2026 does not require a dramatical transformations. It requires a decision, a quiet, honest decisions that you will no longer wait for ideal conditions. You will start where you are with what you have as you are. Even if you feel scared, even if you feel unprepared, even if you feel tired, there is something deeply powerful about beginning before you feel ready. It sends a message to your mind that you are in control, not your emotions. That discipline can lead when motivation is absence, and the message change everything. Life records moments, not intentions. The world does not respond to plan written in notebooks. It responds to actions taken in reality. And the moment you stop waiting, something shifts, energy flows, efforts, opportunities appears when you move, not when you hesitate. One day you will look back and realize that the moment you stop waiting was the moment your life quietly began to change. Not loudly, not dramatically, but steady, peaceful, and honestly. And you will understand that the perfect time was never in the future. It is always the moment you decided to begin. Most people told on their past not because it was good, but because it is familiar. The mind prefers a known pain over a unknown possibility. And this why letting go of why who you were last year feels so uncomfortable. It feels like betrayal, as if changing means you are denying your own story. But growth is not disloyalty, growth is honesty. We often confuse identity with habits. We say this is just now I am, when in reality it is just what we have practiced repeatedly. You were not born with procrastinations, self doubt, fear of speaking up, or the habits of settling for less. These were learned patterns, and anything that is learned can be unlearned. But first, you must be willing to detach from the version of yourself that carries them. Holding on to your old self feels safe because it protects you from expectations. If you remain the same, no one expects more from you, including yourself. But the cost of that safety is silent regret. Every time you repeat an old pattern you have outgrown, sometimes inside you feels heavy. That heaviness is not confusion. It is your inner intelligence telling you that you no longer belong there. Detaching does not mean hating who were you. It means thanking that version of yourself for surviving with the tools it had. That version helped you cope, help you endure, help you get through moments when you did not know better. But survival is not the same as growth. But save you once may now be limited you. Many people stay stuck because they keep rehearsing their old stories. They introduce themselves internally with labels. I am bad at consistency. I am not confident. I always mess things up. Repeating these narratives keeps you emotionally tired at an outdated identity. And the mind works very hard to stay consistent with the story you tell it. The problem is not that you can't change. The problem is that you keep reminding yourself to who you used to. And every reminder pulls you backwards. When you detach, you stop defending old behaviors. You stop explaining why you are the way why you are. You simply accept that you are become someone new. Letting go for your old self can also feel lonely because some people around you are attached to that versions. They feel comfortable with you, don't challenge them, did not grow, did not outgrow the room. When you change, they feel unsettled. And something that will try to pull you back, not out of haters, but out of familiarity. This is where inner strength is tested because detachment requires courage. Courage to disappoint others, courage to confuse people who like the you, courage to sit with the discomforts of becoming unfamiliar even to yourself. But remember this, you are not responsible for staying small to make others comfortable. Your old self had reasons. Your new self has responsibilities. Responsibilities to your future peace, responsibility to your potentials, responsibility to your life that is waiting for you on the other side of this change. And that responsibility is more important than stay loyal to a version of yourself that no longer fits. Detaching also means forgiving yourself. You cannot rebuild while carrying guilt for yesterday. Guilt keeps you anchored to the past. Forgiveness loses that grip. You do not pay best your good with the awareness you had. Now you know more. And knowing more invites you to do better. As you step into 2026, understand this deeply. You are allowed to change without explanations. You are allowed to want more without apologies. You are allowed to redefine yourself even if no one understands the new directions yet. Growth often happens quietly because it becomes visible. When you detach from you were, you create space. Space for new habits, space for new confidence, space for a calm mind, space for a strong identity that is built consistently, not accidentally. And in that space, rebuilding becomes possible. One day, you will look back at the version of yourself you were holding on to and realize it was not your truth. It was just a chapter. Important, yes, but not the whole book. And the moment you let that chapter end, you gave yourself permissions to write a far better one. The people around you shape you more than you realize, not through what they say, but through what they normalize. Slowly, silently, their habits become your habits, their mindsets become your mindset, and their limits start feeling like your limits. That is why growth often feels so difficult because you are trying to change while remaining surrounded by what keeps you the same. Many people believe that loyalty means staying connected no matter the cost. But loyalty without wisdom becomes self-sabotage. You can love people and still recognize that their presence is draining your energy, clarity, and ambitions. Not everyone who has access to your life deserves influence over your future. When you begin to rebuild yourself, your environment becomes very loud. Some people will discourage you openly, others will do it subtly through jokes, doubts, and or passive negativity. They may not intend harm. Often they are simply uncomfortable watching you break pattern they never had the courage to question. Energy is contagious. Spend time with people who complain consistently, and your mind slowly learns to see problems before possibilities. Stay around those who are complacent, and effort begins to feel unnecessary. This is not about judging others, it is about understanding impacts. The mind absorbs what it is exposed to. One of the hardest realizations in life is this: some relationships are not bad, they are just expired. They saw our purpose once. Comparisonships expose familiarity. But as you evolve, the relationship stops feeding your growth and starting feeding your strengthness. Holding on out of history alone is emotional attachment, not wisdom. Auditing your inner circle does not mean cutting everyone off dramatically. It means observing how you feel after interactions. Do you feel inspired or exhausted? Clear or confused? Motivated or drained? Your emotions are honest indicators. They reveal whether a connection is nourishing you or slowly emptying you. Sometimes the drain is not emotional but mental, because around people who continuously doubt, fear, change, or ridiculous ambitions train your mind to shrink its own dreams. You start editing yourself before even trying. You stop sharing ideas, you stop believing fully, and eventually you stop becoming. There is also the challenge of guilt. You may feel selfish for wanting distance. You may worry about being judged, misunderstood, or labeled as arrogant. But growth often required choosing long-term peace over short-term comforts. You are not obligated to remain accessible to everyone simply because you once were. As you grow, your standards change, not just for life, but for conversations, values, and energies. You start craving depth instead of drama, encouragement instead of criticisms, growth instead of gossips. And this shift naturally reduces your circle. This is not loss, this is alignment. Another uncomfortable truth is that some people will benefit from the old version of you. They will benefit from your silence, your overgiving, your lack of boundaries. When you begin to rebuild yourself, they may resist, not because you are wrong, but because the dynamic is changing and change threatens comforts. This phase can feel lonely. But loneliness during growth is temporary. Staying surrounded by the wrong persons create a deeper, more permanent loneliness. The loneliness of being unseen, unspotted, and unfulfilled. Choose the loneliness that lead to expansions, not the one that lead to regret. Building your inner circle also includes how you engage digitally. The content you consume, the voice you listen to, the messages you reply in your mind, they all count as company. If you continuously feeding your mind negative comparisons and unrealistic standards, rebuilding become harder. Rebuilding yourself in 2026 requires courage to protect your energy, not aggressively, not anxiety, but intentionally with calm clarity. You did not need to unnotch your boundaries, you just need to live them. Over time, something beautifully happens. When you create space, the right people appear. People who speak positively, who respect your growth, who challenge your kindness. And they don't drain you, they expand you. And being around them feels lighter, not heavy. One day you will realize that changing your inner circle did not make you lonely. It made you focused. It does not make you cold. It made you selective. And most importantly, it gave you the environment you knew self needs to breathe, grow, and finally become real. Most people wait to feel motivated before they begin. They tell themselves, when I feel inspired, I will work harder. When I feel confidence, I will be consistent. But motivations is emotional, and emotionals are unstable. They rise and fail with sleep, moods, praise, failure, and circumstances. If your progress depends on how you feel, your growth will always be fragile. Discipline, on the other hand, does not negotiate with emotions. It does not ask whether you are tired, bored, doubtful, or afraid. It simply asks one question: what need to be done today? And then it does it quietly, repeatedly, without drama. This is why discipline changes lives while motivations only excites them temporarily. Motivations feels powerful in the beginning. It gives you energy, excitement, and big promises, but it fades the moment discomfort appears. The moment results are slow, the moment effort is required without immediate reward, and that is exactly when most people stop. But because they cannot continue, but because motivations leave them alone. Discipline stay when motivations disappear. It carries you through day when nothing feels rewarding. It helps you act ever when the mind is full of resistance, and over time it creates something far more reliable than excitement. Self-respect. Every time you do what you said you would do, even when you don't feel like it, you rebuild trust with yourself. Self rest is the foundation of confidence, not talent, not praise, not success. Confidence grows when your actions match your words, discipline align them. Motivation often breaks that alignment by making you dependent on feeling before acting. Many people misunderstand disciplines. They think it means being hard, rigid, or joyless. But real discipline is not punishment. It is self-care in its most honest form. It is choosing long-term peace over short-term comfort. It is protecting your future self from regret. Discipline does not require massive efforts. It requires consistency in small things. Waking up when you say you would, showing up when you grows feels invisible. Com- uh, Completing tasks without waiting for apologies. These small acts compound silently, and one day you realize you have become a different persons, not through intensity but through commitment. When you rely on motivations, you make your life confidence. I will try if I feel good. When you build discipline, you make your growth unconditional. You are no longer controlled by fluctuations in energy or emotions. Discipline also simplifies life. When decisions are already made, mental noise reduces. You don't waste energy debating whether to act. You are always decided. This clarity frees the mind and reduces stress. Ironically, discipline creates more freedom than motivations ever could. As you rebuild yourself, discipline becomes your anchor. It keeps you grounded when motivations fluctuate. It reminds that you that feeling are temporary but habits are permanent, and it allow you to move forward steady without burning out. Discipline is as always also deeply empowering. It shifts your identity from someone who hope to someone who executes, from someone who dream to someone who builds, from someone who wait to someone who moves. This shift changes when how you see yourself and how others experience you over time. Discipline creates momentum, and momentum creates motivations, not the other way around. When you see yourself making progress, even slowly, motivations results returns naturally. But now it's posed in discipline instead of leading it. Rebuilding yourself in 2026 will not be about stun burst of inspirations. It will be about daily choose made without negotiations. Quiet victories, no one apologize. Thank you very much.